Joshua has requested me on Patreon to review the classic movie The Graduate. Directed by Mike Nichols, this has earned its place as one of the greatest films of the 60s and a pivotal entry in that era of filmmaking. It took the story of a recent graduate navigating his life and did so many clever things with not only the writing and the acting, but with Nichols' many decisions behind the camera. The Graduate has a lot to say about being in your 20s and the strange curveballs that can be thrown your way, and does it with a lot of humor. Of course, the most infamous aspect of The Graduate is Mrs. Robinson and her seduction of Benjamin Braddock. There have been a lot of interpretations about this relationship, although curiously, despite being a potentially controversial role, several actresses expressed interest in performing it, with Ava Gardner even meeting with Nichols for it. While others have watched the movie and felt a certain amount of sympathy for Mrs. Robinson, I'm not one of those people. To me, she's the villain of the movie, seducing and manipulating Benjamin's mental state for her to insert some sort of thrill into her life, and then through her actions attempts to ruin not only Benjamin's life, but her daughter Elaine's as well. Anne Bancroft did a fantastic job of playing the role, showing the layers of this character. Now she only cares about herself and the power she can hold over others. You also have Dustin Hoffman in his breakout role. Even though he turned out perfect for Benjamin, he was seen as a surprising choice, as the producers were looking for a more conventional movie star type, with Robert Redford, Warren Beatty, and Anthony Perkins being among the candidates. There's even an alternate universe where Charles Grodin played Benjamin. However, as I said, Hoffman was a fantastic choice, bringing the needed awkwardness as he tries to deal with everything that happens to him and showing how his time with Mrs. Robinson changes him. He does particularly well in the comedic scenes, like a sequence where he tries to book a hotel room. Catherine Ross also delivered a great performance as Elaine Robinson, excellently portraying her continually evolving thoughts about Ben and her anger at finding out he had a romance with her mother. All three received Oscar nominations for their performances in The Graduate, and I would have personally voted for all of them. Mike Nichols filled the other roles with commendable actors who also delivered strong work. William Daniels played Benjamin's father, and even though he's only in a few scenes, they're among the most memorable. Yes, Mr. Feeney is in The Graduate, and he does a great job of showing Mr. Braddock's equal pride at his son's accomplishments and confusion at his post-university life thus far. Murray Hamilton, who most will recognize as the mayor in Jaws, plays Mr. Robinson and successfully depicts his changing attitude towards Ben from positive to hating him. Buck Henry, who co-wrote the screenplay, also has a small amusing role as a hotel clerk Benjamin interacts with. What the movie does exceptionally well is depict Benjamin's uncertainty of what to do with his future and how that partly drives his decision-making. The affair with Mrs. Robinson does not make things any easier, and the movie captures the unknown future that greets anyone trying to find themselves in the world. Maybe if Mrs. Robinson had not seduced Benjamin, he would have wound up in plastics or quickly landed in another field. Instead, her behavior causes him to feel astray. Nichols, along with cinematographer Robert Surtees, does so many clever things with how the movie is shot to get the audience into Benjamin's headspace. Benjamin disappearing into water seems to be a common motif throughout the movie, as he's often shown in his family swimming pool or staring off into a fish tank. There's also a pivotal scene in the rain. Another memorable moment that captures Benjamin's character is during the opening titles. We mostly watch him on one of those moving walkways at the airport, just staring off, not exactly knowing what is going to greet him when he steps foot outside. It's also another example of his nervousness about what life will bring. One of the most important ingredients of The Graduate is the soundtrack, with songs performed by Simon & Garfunkel. These songs add so much to the flavor of the movie and perfectly fit everything Benjamin is going through. The opening title song, The Sound of Silence, is a fantastic tune that has since become associated with a feeling of sadness and has certainly earned its place in musical history. There's also Scarborough Fair, an Old English ballad that Simon & Garfunkel then reworked into something in their style and is also nicely used in the movie. Mrs. Robinson was an original song for The Graduate, which Mike Nichols immediately took a shine to after rejecting two other songs Paul Simon had pitched. It's an excellent song with a catchy and fast beat and serves as a great fit for the climax when Benjamin tries looking for Elaine. They even do a clever thing by having the song slow down when his car runs out of fuel. Mrs. Robinson won 2 Grammy Awards, but was surprisingly not nominated for an Oscar, with Simon explaining years later that he had simply forgotten to fill in the proper paperwork. And then you have the ending, which finishes the movie on the right note, and even though it's become famous, and I'm sure some of you have seen the final shot somewhere, I still won't spoil it for you. But it's a brilliant ending that highlights the decisions we can make when we reach a certain time in our life and not knowing exactly where they will take us. Mike Nichols directed a lot of worthwhile films in his career, but of those I've seen, The Graduate ranks as my favorite. It's a movie with a lot to say about being in your 20s and trying to figure out how to fulfill your life's purpose while also doing it with plenty of humor. If you've seen The Graduate, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Joshua.